Hello and welcome to the Mayor's Commission for Citizens with Disabilities, our April 22nd meeting. We appreciate you being with us. Our commission meets the fourth Monday of every month, unless we have a planning meeting, which we'll let you know about, but our meetings are open to the public. We meet in the Omaha Douglas County Civic Center building, which is at 1819 Farnham, in the legislative chambers. Our meetings start at 3 o'clock for a pre-meeting, and then our open meeting starts at 3:30, which certainly you are welcome to attend. Our meetings are televised and replayed on Cox Communications Channel 18 at 7 o'clock each Tuesday. So make sure if you missed any part of this meeting, set your DVR, and you can catch all the exciting details in crystal clear digital communication. So, reminder that the mission and purpose that we're all here for is to promote the quality of life, accessibility, and equity in all aspects related to the City of Omaha on behalf of and in cooperation with the citizens of Omaha who experience disabilities. Part of our purpose is also to serve as a resource for Omaha citizens with disabilities and their families, to express concerns and resolutions regarding issues affecting them. We also can publicize to the citizens of Omaha the role of the Mayor's Commission for Citizens with Disabilities and resources available to assist citizens with disabilities, employers, housing representatives, business owners, engineers, and architects, and others who have a role in bettering the life of Omaha citizens. One of the things that we did in our last meeting that helped to support that point, and one of the requests that we had gotten from the Human Relations Department in an effort to really help promote better communication between the city and county employees and persons who may experience a disability, we had done a PowerPoint that we recorded in our last meeting, and that PowerPoint and presentation will be used ongoing to help better train and raise awareness of the communication needs and better ways to communicate with persons who may have a disability. So we're hopeful that will be, I guess, a resource and a tool that will help all parties involved. We also are here to help promote the awareness to the general public on capabilities, needs, and desires of citizens with disabilities, and also to recognize the efforts of employers, businesses, schools, organizations, and others who have demonstrated outstanding support of programs and services for disabled citizens. So, kind of a lot, but we really are here for the citizens of Omaha who experience disabilities and serve in many different capacities. We will have announcements later on in the broadcast, so make sure to have something to write with, or as I had mentioned, have your DVR set so you don't miss any of the exciting details of our meeting. And we'll have introductions at that point as well. We did have a quorum in our pre-meeting, and the minutes from our last meeting were approved. We had a motion to approve by Mary and a second by Amanda, and a unanimous approval. We'll just go around the room quickly and give each member a chance to introduce themselves. Again, I'm Mike Masker. I'm with the Allegiant Creighton Health Emmanuel Rehabilitation Center, where we provide a full continuum of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and therapeutic recreation services. I'll have a number of announcements later regarding or at least directing you all to our website where you can see all of the sports and leisure programs as well as support groups. I am here to promote the needs for persons with physical disabilities. And we'll go to my right.
My name is Amanda Vasquez, and I work for the Great Plains Chapter, Paralyzed Veterans of America.
My name is Kathy Miklas. I'm a speech-language pathologist by profession, and I work, as well as Mike, I work also for Allegiant Creighton Health at Home Health Care Agency.
I'm Beth Ellsworth. I work for the Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. I'm Mary Angus. And I represent myself and other people with mental illness.
We do have subcommittees on our board that help to advocate for the needs for persons in the community regarding jobs, transportation. We have made some updates to our website, which is another committee, and then also we're preparing a survey for the employees of the City of Omaha to find out how, and agencies that support the City of Omaha and persons with disabilities, to see how we can be a better resource to those different groups. There are no updates this month, as last month we worked on the PowerPoint, so no updates on our subcommittees, but we do continue to work and develop those subcommittees and the work around that. So wanted to also mention, if there's anyone in the viewing audience that would be interested in joining our committee, there is an application process that's on the mayor's website, or you can contact the mayor's office directly. It is in our bylaws that half of our group is made up of persons with a disability, so that we can have continued advocacy for persons with all types of disabilities, and that's really what the intent of our group is today, or our group is. Which brings us to our speaker for today. We're really happy to have Wendy Hamilton with us, who's the Vice President of the Autism Society of Nebraska, and certainly an important topic, and I think always deserves increased awareness. So we'd like to welcome Wendy, and we appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting Autism Society of Nebraska to speak to you a little bit today. I very much appreciate your mission of improving the quality of life of our citizens with disabilities, as that is something that's near and dear to my heart. So I appreciate that as well. My presentation today is going to be a little bit different. It might be different from what you're used to hearing. I'm not sure how other presentations are given, but if you'd stick with me, we'll get started. So the mission of the Autism Society is to improve the lives of all Nebraskans affected by autism. And I stress the word all because autism does not expire at the age of 21. So much of the focus on autism these days is on children, and there are some alarming statistics, and I'll go over some of that. But I just want to remind everybody that autism is not a child's disability. It affects adults as well. Part of our mystery is that diagnoses such as Asperger's syndrome or PDD, NOS, or some of these buzzwords that you might have heard didn't necessarily exist until about 15, 20 years ago. And so you've got an entire population of citizens that may have fallen under the radar or had been overlooked. It's not like all of a sudden they came down with Asperger's when they turned 35. So it's something that it is a developmental disability, and it stays with a person for life. However, it is not a death sentence. So let's get into a little bit more about what autism actually is, because although I'm sure there's varying degrees of familiarity with this group, I think that there's still some preconceived notions about it. So autism is a complex developmental disability. It typically appears during the first 3 years of life and affects a person's ability to communicate and interact with others. Keep in mind, it typically appears during the first 3 years of life. It's a result of a neurological disorder that affects the brain. It is 4 times more prevalent in boys than in girls and knows no racial, ethnic, or social boundaries. It is part of a group of disorders known as autism spectrum disorders, or ASDs. I might refer to ASDs through the rest of the presentation. And I actually just heard that this number may have already changed, but the CDC reports that today 1 in 88 individuals will be diagnosed with autism. So it's more common than pediatric cancer, diabetes, and AIDS combined. So what does the Autism Society do, and why should you guys care? We are committed to helping families and individuals living with autism spectrum disorders. And so that could mean the person that's affected by ASD themselves. That could be their family. That could be their extended family. That could be spouse, OTs, PTs, educators, etc. And we provide this support through community outreach, financial assistance, legislative and public advocacy, information resources, and partnerships. And just a quick example of some of those, with community outreach, for example, we will have a booth at fairs. Like, let's say there's a public safety fair at a middle school. So ASN will have a booth, and we will explain the public safety or the safety concerns for children with autism. They could have sensory issues, and so maybe they get scared when the bell goes off in school, and that causes them to flee. So we've got certain parameters in order and helpful tips and facts and tools that educators, parents, public officers can use to support. Financial assistance, we offer individual grants to persons living with an autism spectrum disorder. We kind of don't ask any questions. We don't ask for any receipts. If a person can demonstrate that they've got their diagnosis and they have a need for money, then we'll help them out the best we can. We also provide scholarships for conferences, whether it's the Nebraska State ASD conference or or an educator conference that's maybe out of state. Legislative and public advocacy, I'm thrilled to report that just 2 months ago, there was a delegation from the Autism Society of Nebraska that traveled to Washington, D.C., and we were able to meet with our federal legislators and elected officials, and we discussed the state of autism in Nebraska. We didn't have a particular agenda. It was about awareness and promotion and making sure that our friends in Washington remember their friends in Nebraska. And of course, information resources online, we have information there, and we partner with several other communities in the community, several other agencies in the community. We partner with the Nebraska ASD Network to host an annual conference. It was just held a couple of weeks ago in Kearney, Nebraska, and that is comprised of educators, medical professionals, parents, and persons living with ASD. And we also support networks across the state. We currently have 4: Omaha, Grand Island, North Platte, and Kearney. And those are funded support groups that receive support and tools and references from ASN. Our biggest fundraising event of the year is the Autism Puzzle Walk. Omaha's walk is coming up this Saturday, April 27th in beautiful Elmwood Park. This will be our 6th annual puzzle walk here in Omaha. We've also added a 5K run because everybody loves running now, so we jumped on that bandwagon. And we've just held Grand Island's walk was last week, and they had record-breaking attendance, and North Platte will be in the first weekend in May. And this is our big opportunity to really bring the community out, show our support, fundraise for our citizens and our constituents, and all of the money stays here in Nebraska. Okay, that was the boring part. So who am I? Why am I here? Why is this person standing in front of you talking about autism? Well, as this picture will state, as I call it Exhibit A, I unfortunately lived with a mullet for the first few years of my life, as many children of the 80s did, so you can see the discontented look on my face. I'm sitting here with my Snoopy. I'm very upset about my hair. Okay, no, but seriously. What I would like for you to do, and this is where it's a little bit different, I would like to ask you to close your eyes for a minute. Unless you need to see the sign interpreter, of course. I would like you to imagine a person who is awkward, who makes you feel uncomfortable, but you can't really explain why. A person who dresses kind of funky. Think about this person as someone whose attention you desire. But no matter what, you cannot hold their interest. They do not have an interest in you. Think about this person as not being affectionate. This person that you're imagining makes funny noises and seems to twitch and tick uncontrollably. This person embarrasses you at every possible public outing. Imagine spending your entire life desperately trying to connect with this person who doesn't want to connect with you. How does this person make you feel? Do you feel rejected? Do you feel confused? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel discouraged? Open your eyes. Now imagine that person is your mother. So this is my mom. Her nickname is MOPPY. That's her famous stage name. It started as a joke. My mom has Asperger's syndrome. Asperger's syndrome is a high-functioning developmental disability that is categorized as an autism spectrum disorder. Diagnosed in 2007 at age 58, my MOPPY struggles to cope and feel normal every day of her life. As she puts it, she just doesn't get it. And if you say, "What's it? What is it that you don't get?" She'll say, "Life. I don't get life." That's everything from casual conversation to clothing to the way things feel emotionally and tangibly. So my mom obviously struggled, not only because she socially didn't fit in, but she also experienced profound learning disabilities. She's dyslexic. She's hard of hearing. She has very severe obsessive-compulsive disorder. She has profound anxiety. And so all of these things kind of stacked the odds against her to slide under the radar, to not have anyone advocating for her. No one was on her side. She was a child of, the 50s and the 60s, and this just wasn't something that you talked about. Furthermore, autism never came up in her life because she didn't fit what everyone thought of as an autistic person. People think of kids with autism as never expressing any eye contact, never having verbal skills. This was very black and white, and my mother didn't have those symptoms. So over the past few years, we have worked, my sister and I, that's my sister I actually used to be blonde, so I'm the blondish one. My sister and I have worked very hard to help share our mom's story. And it's been through the unwavering and unconditional support of the Autism Society of Nebraska and other community groups that have helped us realize that we have a voice, we have a story. And what started out as kind of a therapeutic, cathartic way for us to talk about, our weird mom and our weird childhood has actually really blossomed into self-advocacy for my mom. She has become a role model for her peers, which is something that she would have never, ever imagined herself being. She only knew of herself as weird, not good, not smart, different. And a few years ago, actually 2 years ago, a woman by the name of Dr. Temple Grandin, you may be familiar with her, she's a very famous advocate and accomplished woman with autism, came and spoke at a conference here in Omaha, and we've been very big followers of Temple for a long time because of her outstanding work as a role model and breaking down the barriers of autism. So we took our mom, and through various situations, my mom and Temple had the chance to meet. And it was this coming together of two people who absolutely understood each other without having to say a word. And what followed was Temple inviting my mother to appear in her next book, which is called Different Not Less. And each chapter in Different Not Less is by a different adult with an ASD or ADHD. Very, very often ADHD accompanies ASD, which is not to say that if you have ADHD, you have ASD. And so my mom is chapter 5 in Different Not Less, and her story ranges from what it was like for her in school and being bullied, and some of the poetry that she wrote about while she was in school, to being a mom and what was that like, because, you might not have, if you meet my mom, you might not think this person has 2 grown daughters. And what was marriage like, and what is work like, and does she have any support now? So she's kind of become a big deal in the autism community. She's what's the most important change that I've seen is that she no longer lives in a constant state of shame. We still have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of red tape we have to navigate through. There's a lot of jargon that we don't understand. This is still relatively new for our family. But she does not feel ashamed of herself. She's also embraced the term Asperger's, autism, disability, although she doesn't consider herself disabled. She considers herself different, not less. And so what we've done is we've made it our mission to promote awareness, not only awareness of autism and autistic individuals in Nebraska, but adults with autism, and reminding people that autism will stay with a person. It's not that different than being born with blue eyes or green eyes. It's likely you'll have those blue eyes or the green eyes for the rest of your life. My mom is obviously very silly. She is now who she's always been. Her Asperger's diagnosis doesn't make her any more or any less herself. It doesn't make her any more or less a person or my mom. It's just who she is. And it's okay. Oops. Which brings me to acceptance. So April is Autism Awareness Month across the country. It might even be across the world. But many of us in the community have adopted Autism Acceptance Month because there's still a lot of fear, there's a lot of questions, it's still a mystery, there's a lot of misperceived notions. But what's most important is that you accept the person in your life with the ASD, whether it's your sister, your nephew, grandchild, or your mom. I believe we all go through phases of our lives where maybe we wish we were adopted, or we think there's no way I came from this family. There is no way. But I think what's important is the choices that we make when we accept our family and how we use that story to move others forward. So I believe the choice is ours if we want to tell the stories. So that's my connection to autism. It's probably not what you were expecting to hear, unless, Amanda, you might have already known. But I represent a very, very, very different population of adults with disabilities in our state. And it's not a disability that anyone else can relate to. It's not Alzheimer's. It's not traumatic brain injury. This is something my mom was born with and went 58 years of her life without any support, without any resources, because she didn't think she deserved it. And so if there's a statement that I can make to this group, is that we have got to remember that it's not a child's disorder. It is not a death sentence. We must always, always, always presume competence. I'm sure I don't need to preach that to this group since you're already advocates of folks with disabilities, but it shouldn't limit a person's rights. And in our state of Nebraska, in the city of Omaha, my hometown that I love so much, we have a lot of work to do. My mom is currently full-time employed, thankfully, because she's in a very weird demographic. She is too young to retire, but she's worked her entire life, which makes her largely ineligible for disability benefits. And she wants to work, but she's tired, and now she knows that there are other people with Asperger's that don't work. So it's confusing to her. It's very black and white to her. We also have a struggle with comprehensive insurance coverage for autism treatment. We have some sponsors at the state level, which is wonderful, and we've got some grassroots advocacy groups stemming from ASN and from our email advocacy alerts. Nebraska's falling a little bit behind, and we've got to catch up to the rest of the country, to the other states who help provide insurance waivers or insurance coverage for autism treatment, because people like my mom, although has a roof over her head, has a job, has a family that supports her, receives absolutely no services or benefits for her disability. And she's one of those people that has a comorbid disability, so we're not just talking Asperger's syndrome. She has a 5-page diagnosis. And some people get caught up in the labels, and some people think you can take a pill for that. We know in this room it's so much more than that. It's about the quality of life, right? My mom doesn't have any of that, and that's okay because she has her family. But there isn't really anything that's great about okay. I would like for her life to be great, and I think that we can get there. That's basically my story. I appreciate you listening. I do have some information about the Autism Society of Nebraska, and obviously that's just my story. Every story is different. Every single person with an autism diagnosis is different. If you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So thank you.
I had a quick question for you, Wendy.
Sure.
sometimes folks with Asperger's have a special talent or a hyper focus. What's your mom's special talent?
Thank you for asking that, and thank you for pointing that out. And this is another reason why she slid under the radar for having any type of autism type of disorder. My mother is verbally gifted. She is a poet, and she can see patterns in words and letters that will blow your mind. She's got a couple of patterns that she does with the name John. So there's no Johns in this room, which would probably give her a little bit of anxiety. But if she could find John in print somewhere, that would make her very happy. But she's verbally gifted. She's a poet, and she is wickedly funny. Naughty funny.
I actually think I know your mom. So,
Interesting.
does she have any connection to Emmanuel Hospital? Or, I'm trying to think how our paths have crossed. I know her face.
She works at a well-known retail store.
That's it.
Has for years. I'm grateful
That's
that they
how
have a good disability package.
That's how I know her.
Yep.
I see her weekly.
20 years.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where it was. I was trying to think how I.
So now next time you go through, you can say, hey,
I met your daughter.
I heard your story, and that's great.
Yeah.
She might say something silly or inappropriate, and you can just go with it.
She's a very nice lady.
Thank you.
So, you talked a little bit about financial assistance, and it sounds like it's not a real, I guess, difficult process to go through. But maybe talk a little bit about that, how someone would get in touch with you, how that process might work, and if folks were interested in the puzzle walk, how would they get involved in that?
Sure. So all of that information is on our website under different tabs, of course, but it's autismnebraska.org. And the financial assistance information currently is housed under the support tab. We're undergoing a website redesign. But that is where all of the grants that ASN can provide back to the community, all of that information exists there. We have classroom grants for educators, OTs, PTs who want to adapt a classroom. For example, fluorescent lighting can be extremely distracting and detrimental to the learning of a child with autism because they may have sensory processing disorder. So an educator can apply for a classroom grant to have modifications to cover those fluorescent lights so that the child affected in his or her classroom can have that distraction removed. It's sort of like an ADA compliant agreement. You enter into mutual agreement on how to adapt. So we have educator grants, conference grants, we have individual grants, and we have service provider grants. So we've partnered with community organizations for drama classes for children on the spectrum. I would love to see something for adults, maybe a social group or fashion 101 to help them understand how to, what's appropriate to wear and what's not. Kind of thing. And then the walk, we've also got all of that information is on the website, and you just click on the city that you're interested in, and that will take you to the Give page. It's got our fundraising goals. It has information, some statistics about autism, how many people we expect, the run. The walk will have family fun activities. There will be everything from bouncy houses to therapeutic lambs and dogs, and we'll have a quiet area, so if anyone needs a quiet time, or my mom always says she's overstimulated, she needs a break, or she'll go ah, which I know what that means. We'll take her to the quiet area, so it'll be a good time. Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank you for how well you went from awareness to acceptance.
Thank you.
I suppose I need to turn that on. Thank you. I like the way you went from awareness to acceptance because I have friends who have autism, and that's been their biggest problem with awareness. It's okay. Yeah. Awareness is not the same thing as acceptance, and I really like that you went from there to there.
Thank you.
Are you familiar with the Autism Women's Network?
Yes.
Okay. I was wondering if they would be able to apply for a grant.
Yes, through ASN.
Yes.
Yes, they would fall under the community service or service provider category.
Okay.
And there's just a small review committee, and we just, as long as they meet all the eligible requirements, which is just how do you intend to use the funding, and are you an accredited, what makes you deserving of the.
Do you know they just got their 501(c)(3) standing?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's
they
great.
Just got that.
That's
they just
great.
got that. I know that there are a variety of ways that autism expresses itself, and the women and men that I have met with it oftentimes the affection is expressed in ways that we don't recognize rather than not being there.
Right.
One of my friends recently really gave me the highest compliment when I asked her if I could hug her, and she said, no, and then she hugged me.
Yeah.
And I just
Pretty big.
was, I was really excited about that. But I think it's really difficult sometimes to understand the way things are said rather than that they're not said.
Exactly, and something that I used to say, and frequently if I speak at conferences or in some of the articles that I've written, I describe, because inevitably people will say, what was that like growing up? And I say, well, the best way I can explain it is that imagine being in a bilingual household. Mm-hmm. There's this sort of other communication, this other language that you get that's instinctive to you, and maybe it's in your house and it's not weird in your house, but as soon as you step outside, you're kind of the weird family. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how we were, and so that's exactly how it is. My sister and I are constantly trying to interpret for our mom so she understands a physical cue that she may have just totally missed, or we have to interpret what she's giving back to us. Mm-hmm. She always says, I don't hate hugging, but I won't initiate it. She doesn't think about it. It's not something that comes natural to her. Mm-hmm. And she also struggles with sensory processing disorder. It physically hurts her. If she's not prepared, it not only jars her, it hurts her skin.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's when she was able to verbalize that, I totally understood it. 14-year-old Wendy was like, oh, that's why she doesn't hug me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
that's, I think, probably the hardest part for a child.
Yeah.
The other piece was, I'm trying to think, have you been active in trying to get services for children with autism in particular covered by both Medicaid and regular insurance? I know there was a bill introduced last year. I think it was reintroduced this year.
That's
Is that
correct. Yes.
How do you think that's going?
We've gotten some promising feedback. That was Senator Koash that helped reintroduce the bill. It's LB 505, so thank you for bringing that up. Not that anyone's taking notes, but LB 505.
What was that bill again?
LB 505.
Thank you.
So 505.
Okay.
What
No,
did you
not
for?
10.
505. So it's making some progress. It's made it through, and I am not going to try to say the correct terminology because I don't know it, but it's made it through the first couple of rounds of committee, maybe.
Is it out of committee, which means the committee voted to put it out to the floor for debate?
I don't think it's there yet.
Okay, then chances are it won't get there.
Okay, but we're not going to stop trying.
No.
Because Nebraska, I believe there are 36 states in the country that have insurance coverage for autism, and Nebraska doesn't need to be number 50. So.
Correct. There's lots of ways Nebraska doesn't need to be number 50.
Correct.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Wendy. We appreciate you being with us, and great story about your mom. And when I saw her pictures, like I said, I knew there was a connection. So it'll be fun to see her next time and give her the business. So,
Absolutely, do it. Razz her a little bit; she'll love it.
Well, and I think it's there's much more awareness around autism and Asperger's and I guess the entire spectrum, and we definitely appreciate you coming here and helping to spread the word. Sure. and I guess really help us all continue to view people regardless of whether they consider it a disability or not. Mm-hmm. Just the differences in each other and that uniqueness is there's worthwhile. I mean, everyone is worthwhile and has the ability to make a difference, and it's just helping us to continue to remind people of that. So we thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I don't know if you know this, but I listened to a speech by Senator Kennedy's aide, and I can't think of her name. This was before he died, obviously. And her comment when she was trying to make a point that it's not, the services don't stop or shouldn't stop, and the autism doesn't stop when they get out of school. Her question was, what's going to happen when the bus doesn't stop here anymore? Mm-hmm. And that kind of gives me the chills. Mm-hmm. You become an adult, and all of a sudden, everything's gone.
Yeah. And I will just say that my mom is, by all accounts, she's a success story. She, quote unquote, made it. She figured out life. But every day she has to struggle with figuring out life. And it would be so wonderful if we could pave the way for other young adults to have some more services. And again, like I said, my mom is 64. She's not done. There's a lot of years left in that woman, and I would love to make the rest of her life as great as possible. So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, great information. Wanted to throw out a reminder. There now are 2 cabs in Omaha that are accessible and can actually transport wheelchairs. To be able to access this service, it's GPS Transportation, and their number is 313-7433 or RIDE, 331-RIDE, R-I-D-E. 7433. So that's great news. We had first learned of a taxi company wanting to come into Omaha about, 6 or 8 months ago. And it's just exciting to see that we're progressing and we're getting there, and there are entrepreneurs in the community who do have a desire to serve those with disabilities. So we know that one of the main issues that persons in a wheelchair experience is just that ability to get from point A to point B. So it's exciting to be able to have access of transportation on demand. So we're excited about that. One of the things we like to do is give our members an opportunity to share announcements. So we'll once again kind of go around the horn. We'll start with Mary on my left this time, so we'll kind of mix it up and have Chris up in the control booth trying to figure out what we're doing. So thank you.
I have to thank our technical advisor over here because he keeps turning my mic on because I can't figure it out. Okay, mainly what I wanted to talk about real briefly is that the Nebraska Statewide Independent Living Council creates a state plan for independent living every 3 years. It's currently in the process of getting comments from the public on that. That is the Nebraska Silk, NESILC.org. On their front page, it has a copy of the plan as it currently exists and a request for comments, and you can make comments through the website. They're also having another public meeting May 13th, and that's in Lincoln. Their phone number is 402-538-7979. Also, if you have complaints or concerns or need some advice or referrals on disability-related issues, Disability Rights Nebraska is the protection and advocacy organization for Nebraska. They're at 134 South 13th Street in Lincoln. Their number is 800-422-6691. And they're at Disability Rights, all spelled out, .org. It's disabilityrights.org. If you have additional requests for information, the Autism Women's Network has a Facebook page as well as a regular page. It's autismwomensnetwork.org. It's AUTISMS. AUTISM. WOMENSNETWRC.K.org. And I'm really good at URLs. Not.
Hi, I'm Beth Ellsworth with the Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, and I don't have any announcement today.
Beth, do you want to share your contact information in case anyone would like to get in touch with you?
Sure. My phone number is 402-682-7129, or you can email me at Beth, BETA.Ellsworth, ELLSWORTH.gov, G-O-V. Thank you.
Nebraska.gov. That's okay.
I'm Kathy Miklas, speech pathologist, and I have no announcements today.
My name's Amanda Vasquez. I'm with Great Plains PVA. I have one announcement that we will be holding our 11th annual Tee Off and Support Wheelchair Sports Golf Tournament on June 1st. This golf tournament helps us raise money for our adapted sports and recreation program that serves all individuals with a disability, child and adult, veteran, non-veteran. If anyone is interested in participating in the tournament or would like any other information on it, you can call me at 402-398-1422. Thank you.
Once again, I'm Mike Masker, the Operations Director for the Therapy Departments at the Allegiant Creighton Emmanuel Rehabilitation Center. It's kind of a mouthful. Where we provide a full continuum of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, and therapeutic recreation services. Once again, wanted to invite folks that may be interested in joining our commission to please contact the mayor's office or go to the link on the mayor's website, and there is an application process, and we are accepting new members at this point. As far as announcements for the Emmanuel Rehabilitation Center, we have support groups that meet monthly for persons that may have had a stroke, spinal cord injury, traumatic brain injury, or an amputation. Most of those groups meet monthly at the Emmanuel Rehab Center, and there's more information on our website at allegiantcreighton.com. And then if you go under services, there's a tab for rehabilitation services, and it will have a little information on our support groups as well as a calendar of events. And under that calendar, you'll also see all of our sports and leisure programs. We do a lot in conjunction with the Paralyzed Veterans of America with Amanda's group, such as bocce ball, which I believe is going on now. We also do wheelchair softball. We've got actually quite an accomplished wheelchair softball team in town that has won the national championship, I believe, the last 7 out of 8 years. So believe it or not, Omaha's kind of a hotbed for high caliber Paralympic athletes. So we're really excited about that, but there'll be information about how to get involved in the Miracle League softball league, which is actually held at the All Play Foundation or All Play Sports Complex, and you can also find information about softball leagues on the All Play website. I believe it's allplay.org. We'll have golf leagues and golf, instructional golf opportunities for persons with disabilities, and that'll be up and coming starting fairly soon. And we do have 5 single-rider golf carts, which allow persons that either are in a wheelchair or have difficulty ambulating. You can actually play golf from the golf cart, including driving up onto the greens and putting. And that's been possible through a grant from the PGA, which has been hugely successful, and we really are appreciative of all their support. We also have hand cycling that we do weekly. Fishing will be coming up, archery. So just a number of opportunities for sports and leisure. We do have a junior wheelchair sports camp that will be coming up in July as well, and we'll have more information on that as we get closer. But we're able to serve about 50 kids every summer from about 8 to 10 different states in the area. So that's really an exciting program. So lots going on in our neck of the woods to help bring really that, kind of like Wendy mentioned, it's all about reaching that spiritual fulfillment and helping people realize how to get to that quality of life side of things. So, and that's really what we're all here to do. With that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Just a reminder that this will be replayed each Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Cox Channel 18. We do appreciate the support that Cox Communication provides, and Chris does a bang-up job making sure to make us all look good on TV, so we appreciate Chris's work, and Sam also, who's a great support to us. If you'd like more information on the Disabilities Commission, you can go to the City of Omaha's website, click on the Mayor's Office, and then Disabilities Commission, and you'll find more information on our commission. We'd like to thank Christine, our sign language interpreter. She's probably the hardest working woman in show business, and we really appreciate all she does for us. The next meeting is planned for May 20th. It is a planning meeting and will not be televised, so you guys will all get the joy of watching this meeting for the next 2 months. So with that, we'll adjourn, but I'd like to just also encourage anyone who's watching, if you have issues or if there's information that you would like for us to share within our televised meeting, we'd certainly like to welcome that. If you are an advocate for a person with disabilities and are able to present, we also have opportunities there. So you can do that by contacting the mayor's office, or you can look at the Disabilities Commission website, and Amanda Vasquez helps to line up all of our speakers. So with that, we'll see you actually in June, and thank you for joining us.